Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Good morning, Violet, Ginger, Andrea. Welcome, Janet, Nishi. Excited to be with you here today. Hello, welcome back, Elena. Still a happy new year going on. Yeah, my computer fan is suddenly loud, so hopefully that's okay, and if it's distracting you, then relax and release, as our good buddy Michael Singer would say. Yeah, so today we are going to be continuing our conversations with God, what I'm calling meditative book listening series. Yeah, and I love this book. It's one of my probably top 5, maybe even higher than top 5. So what we're going to do is listen to the actual audio because it's very well done and great to listen to. And actually, I'm going to try some technology stuff. So hopefully that will work, and we'll try it in a minute, and we'll love your feedback and help with that. And whatever, it'll go how it goes, and we'll go with the flow. So, good morning, Nancy. Is there anybody new here that's new to me on Insight Timer or anywhere? I'm also double live streaming right now on my YouTube channel. So, hello, however you're joining. And you can also, if you have to leave early or want to replay, this will be available on replay. So glad to be doing that for now again. And if you don't know me, I am a spiritual life coach and Reiki Master Teacher. And yeah, you can find out about me, website, Facebook, Insta, here. Just click about, you can read and then click on my link and all that good stuff if you care to. Please check out my meditations here on Insight Timer and my newest and only at this time premium track on Insight Timer, which is the Comprehensive Abundance Prayer. So it's an ancestral clearing prayer focused around abundance, like financial and material abundance. So it clears for stuff in the ancestral lineage around, like, survival and resources, and land, and of course money and all of that. So, and you can listen to that as much as you want. I also have the Master Prayer, Ancestral Clearing Prayer, on my free Insight Timer meditation area. So, and those are both infused with Reiki, if you care to listen. And don't forget to join my group here, Natalie's Healing Circle. Hi Jeff, welcome. Hi J.E., hi Ann. Yes, the replays are there in YouTube, so you can find that. You can message me if you want help. happy to do that. So, yeah, I think that is it for the moment. We do, if you are coming to the other book reading that we're doing, or book listening, there's nothing wrong with you, which is a really powerful and impactful book on healing yourself. That is coming up in about 48 hours. And it's the same format where we'll be listening meditatively. So the invitation for this now is that you really be present with the material, because this book, Conversations with God, is super deep, impactful, powerful, and life-changing. So is there anybody here that doesn't know Conversations with God? It doesn't matter if you're new, you can just jump in. Trust the timing. If you haven't heard the other recordings, and again, you can catch those, the replays as well. Awesome, J.E. and Janet. So just very briefly, Conversations with God is a book by Neale Donald Walsch, and this was in the early 90s when this happened for him. Basically, the story is that he was kind of in a midlife crisis. He was in his late 40s, and he was just out of frustration and despair one night, started writing, and then started like writing a letter to God, like kind of like an FU letter, and then like asked a question in the letter, and then he said he felt like something come in, God, write an answer. And that became this dialogue that is known as Conversations with God. And there's 4 books that are called Conversations with God. And then there's maybe 4 or 5 others as well. So we're starting with the first one. Great, and so glad that you're reconnecting with it now. It's something you can listen to and hear over and over and over and over and over, and read over and over and over again. So for those of you who have been joining in, and love that you have, so glad to have all of you new or rejoining. Does anyone care to share, like, so far what their biggest takeaway from the book is, or if you just know and love the book, what your biggest takeaway is, or biggest aha, or maybe even biggest point of challenge? Because it can challenge your thinking, for sure, and your beliefs. Anybody have any reflections on that? Oh, and I did say, or forget to say, please follow me here on Insight Timer as well. And if you care, you can hit the donation button and give a donation. Up to you, as we say in Thailand. I am in Thailand, by the way. Great, Elena. Ooh, yes, Ginger. That is one of my key takeaways as well. And I think it was in one of our recent listenings. It started talking about this idea, oh, aren't we in an earth school? You hear that so often. And God in the book says, no, you're not in a school. A school is somewhere you go to learn something you don't know. But you already know all this. It's about a remembering. And it's about, we're here to create and discover. So it discards that idea that we're here for as a school to learn. So I like that idea a lot as well. So what I would encourage you to do is really take this time to, when I start the audio in just a minute, that you put your phone down or whatever you're listening on and just stay present with the material. Give yourself and, the wisdom, the space to come in and marinate and sink in, because it's really powerful. So it's a gift for yourself and it's a gift for humanity, because we're all awakening here together. And so we'll listen for a while. We'll just go with the flow. And while that is happening, I will be, of course, participating in the mindful listening, and also I'll be channeling Reiki. So if you are here live, if you catch the replay, you will receive, if you choose, Reiki healing energy. So for a moment, I'm going to try and experiment to share my screen. And see if I can do that. So this will be my first time. And if not, it's fine. We'll just listen and you'll just get to look at me staring at you. So I'm just going to pop back and make sure everything's still here. Now I'm going to start this. I don't know if it's going to work. Okay. Because you guys, are you seeing me still? Has anything changed? And I'm not going to mess around with this too much, but I do want to try. Same. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm trying to do this like screen share thing. But yeah, I was a little skeptical that I'd be able to pull this off. And I'm not gonna like spend a bunch of time trying. But I do want to try for a minute. Any change? Any different? Yeah, I might need to take time and do this and test it. I've tested before, but yeah. Thank you. Hi, Wendy. Great. So we'll do it the old-fashioned way, which is perfectly fine. Just look at one more thing. Okay. Yeah. I'm still just seeing myself. Okay. Great. So, if you are following along and keeping track, yeah, and I'm just going to play it. I have it open here in my browser. We are going to start at 53 minutes and 37 seconds. And as I said, I'll just be holding space, channeling Reiki, healing energy to everybody's here who chooses to receive. And that's just your own internal intention. So that's up to you. And just be, and we'll be together as we take this beautiful, powerful information in. Yeah, and if you have a question, a comment, we'll just see how it flows. Put it in the comments. You know, I may then stop, just depending, or I may wait until another stopping point. But yeah, don't hold back in that way. Or if you want to wait and hold your questions, comments till we pause, that's fine too. So here we go. And let me know if you can't hear the audio as well.
Experiences of life multiplying itself seems to be the only way that people could be made to hold in reality the idea of the sudden appearance, the sudden existence of countless spirits in the kingdom of heaven. In this instance, your mythical tales and stories are not so far from ultimate reality. For the endless spirits comprising the totality of me are, in a cosmic sense, my offspring. My divine purpose in dividing me was to create sufficient parts of me so that I could know myself experientially. There is only one way for the Creator to know itself experientially as the Creator, and that is to create. And so I gave to each of the countless parts of me, to all of my spirit children, the same power to create which I have as the whole. This is what your religions mean when they say that you were created in the image and likeness of God. This doesn't mean, as some have suggested, that our physical bodies look alike, although God can adopt whatever physical form God chooses for a particular purpose. It does mean that our essence is the same. We are composed of the same stuff. We are the same stuff, with all the same properties and abilities, including the ability to create physical reality out of thin air. My purpose in creating you, my spiritual offspring, was for me to know myself as God. I have no way to do that save through you. Thus it can be said, and has been many times, that my purpose for you is that you should know yourself as me. This seems so amazingly simple, yet it becomes very complex, because there is only one way for you to know yourself as me. And that is for you first to know yourself as not me. Now try to follow this. Fight to keep up, because this gets very subtle here. Are you ready?
I think so.
Good. Remember, you've asked for this explanation. You've waited for it for years. You've asked for it in layman's terms, not theological doctrines or scientific theories.
Yes, I know what I've asked.
And having asked, so shall you receive. Now, to keep things simple, I'm going to use your Children of God mythological model as a basis for discussion, because it is a model with which you're very familiar, and in many ways, it is not that far off. So let's go back to how this process of self-knowing must work. There is one way I could have caused all of my spiritual children to know themselves as parts of me, and that was simply to tell them. This I did. But you see, it was not enough for spirit to simply know itself as God, or part of God, or children of God, or inheritors of the kingdom, or whatever mythology you want to use. As I've already explained, knowing something and experiencing it are two different things. Spirit longed to know itself experientially, just as I did. Conceptual awareness was not enough for you. So I devised a plan. It is the most extraordinary idea in all the universe and the most spectacular collaboration. I say collaboration because all of you are in it with me. Under the plan, you as spirit would enter the physical universe just created. This is because physicality is the only way to know experientially what you know conceptually. It is, in fact, the reason I created the physical cosmos to begin with, and the system of relativity which governs it, and all creation. Once in the physical universe, you, my spirit children, could experience what you know of yourself, but first you had to come to know the opposite. To explain this simply, you cannot know yourself as tall unless and until you become aware of short. You cannot experience the part of yourself that you call fat unless you also come to know thin. Taken to ultimate logic, you cannot experience yourself as what you are until you've encountered what you are not. This is the purpose of the theory of relativity and all physical life. It is by that which you are not that you yourself are defined. Now, in the case of the ultimate knowing, in the case of knowing yourself as the creator, you cannot experience yourself as creator unless and until you create. And you cannot create yourself until you uncreate yourself. In a sense, you have to first not be in order to be. Do you follow?
I think.
Stay with it. Of course, there's no way for you to not be who and what you are. You simply are that pure creative spirit. Have been, always, and always will be. So you did the next best thing. You caused yourself to forget who you really are. Upon entering the physical universe, you relinquished your remembrance of yourself. This allows you to choose to be who you are, rather than simply wake up in the castle, so to speak. It is in the act of choosing to be, rather than simply being told that you are a part of God, that you experience yourself as being at total choice, which is what, by definition, God is. Yet, how can you have a choice about something over which there is no choice? You cannot not be my offspring, no matter how hard you try. But you can forget. You are, have always been, and will always be a divine part of the divine whole, a member of the body. That is why the act of rejoining the whole, of returning to God, is called remembrance. You actually choose to remember who you really are, or to join together with the various parts of you to experience the all of you, which is to say, the all of me. Your job on earth, therefore, is not to learn, because you already know, but to remember who you are, and to remember who everyone else is. That is why a big part of your job is to remind others, that is, to remind them, so that they can remember also. All the wonderful spiritual teachers have been doing just that. It is your sole purpose. That is to say, your soul purpose.
My God. This is so simple and so symmetrical. I mean, it all fits in. It suddenly all fits. I see now a picture I've never quite put together before.
Good. That's good. That is the purpose of this dialogue. You have asked me for answers. I have promised I would give them to you. You will render my words accessible to many people. It is part of your work. Now you have many questions, many inquiries to make about life. We have here placed the foundation. We've laid the groundwork for other understandings. Let's go to the other questions, and don't worry, if there is something about what we've just gone through you do not understand, it'll all become clear to you soon enough.
Okay, well, there is a break in the recording And this particular recording is interspersed with interviews. So I'm going to fast forward past those. But before I do that, this is a great place just to pause because, yeah, even those last few minutes, like, we could talk for hours about that last 5-6 minute snippet there. Am I right? And it goes back to actually the point that was brought up earlier about, we didn't come here to learn. We came here to remember. And it fits in, what it reminds me of is the self-realization, the idea of enlightenment, and what that concept actually means, or what I understand it to mean, which is, an awakening to our true nature, which is God. And that's what that was just saying there. Yes, yes, yes. Love that you picked up on that and brought that piece in, Ginger. I'm a life coach, and so the way I see my role and purpose is to help hold space and remind, or be, be that, and remind people of the truth of who they are. And the way that is best to do that is to remember who I am, that then helps others to remember who they are. Yeah, so awesome. Did anybody else have any questions, comments, takeaways, mind blown in those few minutes? I'm going to see if I can figure out, nope. I'm just going to have to bumble through scrolling and finding where the interview ends. Actually, I'm going to do it on my phone, so I don't mess things up. And I just saw, I hope advertisements don't pop up in the recording because I'm in a different account. So it is what it is.
Why do we...
Okay. So I'm just going to try and find where the interview ends. It's great to listen to. So this recording is interspersed with interviews with like high-level spiritual people. So you can do that on your own if that's interesting to you.
That there is something or someone else out...
Okay.
It does mean
Wait a minute.
why must it be?
Oh, okay. So I was wrong. That wasn't a pause for an interview yet. That was just a pause. So I guess we were supposed to pause right then. All right. So we will dive back in if nobody has anything else. And whatever. We'll manage the recording when we need to. Okay. So coming back into this moment, into holding space for yourself and giving yourself the gift. You're already here, you're already present. Every moment of your life has led to you being here right now to be with all of us together and this material. So, that's the reality of what's happening here. So, yeah. The invitation is to really be with a capital B here now. Okay.
There's so much I want to ask. There's so many questions. Suppose I should start with the big ones, the obvious ones. Like, why is the world in the shape it's in?
Of all the questions man has asked of God, this is the one asked most often. From the beginning of time, man has asked it. From the first moment to this, you have wanted to know, why must it be like this? The classic posing of the question is usually something like, if God is all perfect and all loving, why would God create pestilence and famine, war and disease, earthquakes and tornadoes and hurricanes, and all manner of natural disaster, deep personal disappointment and worldwide calamity? The answer to this question lies in the deeper mystery of the universe and the highest meaning of life. I do not show my goodness by creating only what you call perfection all around you. I do not demonstrate my love by not allowing you to demonstrate yours. As I've already explained, you cannot demonstrate love until you can demonstrate not loving. A thing cannot exist without its opposite, except in the world of the absolute. Yet the realm of the absolute was not sufficient for either you or me. I existed there in the always, and it is from where you too have come. In the absolute, there is no experience, only knowing. Knowing is a divine state. Yet the grandest joy is in being. Being is achieved only after experience. The evolution is this: knowing, experiencing, being. This is the Holy Trinity, the triune that is God. God the Father is knowing, the parent of all understandings, the begetter of all experience, for you cannot experience that which you do not know. God the Son is experiencing, the embodiment, the acting out of all that the Father knows of itself, for you cannot be that which you have not experienced. God the Holy Spirit is being, the disembodiment of all that the Son has experienced of itself, the simple, exquisite isness possible only through the memory of the knowing and experiencing. This simple being is bliss. It is God's state after knowing and experiencing itself. It is that for which God yearned in the beginning. Of course, you're well past the point where you must have it explained to you that the Father-Son descriptions of God have nothing to do with gender. I use here the picturesque speech of your most recent scriptures. Much earlier holy writings placed this metaphor in a mother-daughter context. Neither is correct. Your mind can best hold the relationship as parent-offspring, or that which gives rise to and that which is risen. Adding the third part of the Trinity produces this relationship: that which gives rise to, that which is risen, that which is. This triune reality is God's signature. It is the divine pattern. The three-in-one is everywhere found in the realms of the sublime. You cannot escape it in matters dealing with time and space, God and consciousness, or any of the subtle relationships. On the other hand, you will not find the triune truth in any of life's gross relationships. The triune truth is recognized in life's subtle relationships by everyone dealing with such relationships. Some of your religionists have described the triune truth as Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Some of your psychiatrists use the terms superconscious, conscious, and subconscious. Some of your spiritualists say mind, body, and spirit. Some of your scientists see energy, matter, ether. Some of your philosophers say a thing is not true for you until it is true in thought, word, and deed. When discussing time, you speak of 3 times only: past, present, future. Similarly, there are are 3 moments in your perception: before, now, and after. In terms of spatial relationships, whether considering the points in the universe or various points in your own room, you recognize here, there, and the space in between. In matters of gross relationships, you recognize no in between. That is because gross relationships are always dyads, whereas relationships of the higher realm are invariably triads. Hence, there is left-right, up-down, big-small, fast-slow, hot-cold, and the greatest dyad ever created, male and female. There are no in-betweens in these dyads. A thing is either one thing or the other, or some greater or lesser version in relationship to one of these polarities. Within the realm of gross relationships, nothing conceptualized can exist without a conceptualization of its opposite. Most of your day-to-day experience is foundationed in this reality. Within the realm of sublime relationships, nothing which exists has an opposite. All is one, and everything progresses from one to the other in a never-ending circle. Time is such a sublime realm in which what you call past, present, and future exist interrelationally. That is, they are not opposite, but rather parts of the same whole, progressions of the same idea, cycles of the same energy, aspects of the same immutable truth. If you conclude from this that past, present, and future exist at one and the same time, you're right. Yet now is not the moment to discuss that. We can get into this in much greater detail when we explore the whole concept of time, which we'll do later. The world is the way it is.
So, it paused for a moment. Let us take that huge chunk of truth in. You know, what I heard in that that's kind of easy to pull out is that in order to experience something, its opposite also needs to exist. Because he asked the question, basically, you know, why do bad things happen? Why is there bad in this world? So in that dialogue just then, it was setting up the stage of, you know, duality in relationship, and that is, I think that's where the conversation is going to go next. So, welcome, Claire. Haven't seen you in a while. Glad to have you. And Britt, I saw earlier. So, any questions, comments on that piece? And if you are just joining in, don't forget to follow me here on Insight Timer and all that good stuff. It's getting a bit late for me. I'm not even going to try to explain yeah, those deep truths. As I've said before, I have listened to this over and over and over and over again. And I'm getting a better grasp of it. And still, it's deep. Yeah, as Ginger said. So, you're welcome. I can share this resource with you. I can share, just send me a message. And I can tell you, what timestamp this is, if you want to review it. And I'll just tell you, it's 1 hour and 9 minutes. right here. So, yeah, this is definitely something for most of us. Um, yeah, it's not just here at once and you've got it. That might happen, but if it doesn't, don't worry. So, we will do a little bit more before we close for this session. And yes, it is a book. Great question, Nancy. It's called Conversations with God. And it's a series of books, and this is the first one. And this recording that we're listening to is like 8 hours, and we're like 1 hour in, just to gauge, yeah, like it's, it's a couple 100-page book. So, it's totally fine. However, whenever you're finding this, trust that you're meant to hear whatever you're meant to hear. And this material, I mean, it builds on, prior concepts, but also this is like one of those books where you can just open it up and like, bam, read something and it's meaningful. So, yeah, don't worry if you can't come to all the sessions, if you miss some, whatever, just trust that whatever you hear is meant for you in this moment. And so I'm going to continue channeling the Reiki as we listen a little bit longer to the book.
Because it could not be any other way and still exist in the gross realm of physicality. Earthquakes and hurricanes, floods and tornadoes, and other of what you call natural disasters are but movements of the elements from one polarity to the other. The whole birth-death cycle is part of this movement. These are the rhythms of life, and everything in gross reality is subject to them, because life itself is a rhythm. It is a wave, a vibration, a pulsation at the very heart of the all that is. Illness and disease are opposites of health and wellness, and are made manifest in your reality at your behest. You cannot be ill without at some level causing yourself to be. And you can be well again in a moment by simply deciding to be. Deep personal disappointments are responses which are chosen, and worldwide calamities are the result of worldwide consciousness. Your question infers that I choose these events, that it is my will and desire they should occur. Yet I do not will these things into being. I merely observe you doing so. And I do nothing to stop them, because to do so would be to thwart your will. That in turn would deprive you of the God experience, which is the experience you and I have chosen together. Do not condemn, therefore, all that you would call bad in the world. Rather ask yourself, what about this have you judged bad, and what, if anything, you wish to do to change it? Inquire within rather than without, asking, what part of myself do I wish to experience now in the face of this calamity? What aspect of being do I choose to call forth? For all of life exists as a tool of your own creation, and all of its events merely present themselves as opportunities for you to decide and be who you are. This is true for every soul, and so you see there are no victims in the universe, only creators. The masters who have walked this planet all knew this. That is why, no matter which master you might name, none imagined themselves to be victimized, though many were truly crucified. Each soul is a master, though some do not remember their origins or their heritages. Yet each creates the situation and the circumstance for its own highest purpose and its own quickest remembering, in each moment called now. Judge not then the karmic path walked by another. Envy not success, nor pity failure, for you know not what is success or failure in the soul's reckoning. Call not a thing calamity, nor joyous event, until you decide or witness how it is used. For is a death a calamity if it saves the lives of thousands? And is a life a joyous event if it has caused nothing but grief? Yet even this you should not judge, but keep always your own counsel and allow others theirs. This does not mean ignore a call for help, nor the urging of your own soul to work toward the change of some circumstance or condition. It does mean avoiding labels and judgment while you do whatever you do. For each circumstance is a gift, and in each experience is hidden a treasure. There was once a soul.
Okay. You're welcome, Claire. Yes, the book is called Conversations with God. Nancy, you're welcome. So happy this is valuable. Yes, Ginger, love that you picked up on that. I also did. And that's such a powerful and profound truth, because if we live from a place of survival and fear that things are happening to us, then we're in that victim mindset. And it talked about that too, about victim versus creator. And that we create everything. And that, so for us to remember what it was talking about earlier, the truth of who we are, which is God. Our soul creates the perfect experience for our quickest remembering. So remember that the next time something bothers you. I'm working with that myself. It's, it's a whole mindset shift of seeing the world and things in a different way. And Michael Singer talks about, things like that as well, as far as we have stored all the samskaras inside, and that, something hits our stuff, we want to let that come up. It's actually good that we feel a charge, because that means something is wanting to be healed. Actually, that reminds me, earlier I was in a restaurant, and, I live in Thailand, for those who don't know, and, most of all of the staff people and places, they're very kind and friendly, and this person there tonight was not. And I saw myself just, I'm very friendly, and they were not. And so I saw myself wanting to just mirror their unfriendliness back. And then I was reminded of my favorite life coach, Steve Hardison, and how, he is an actualized being, and he is mostly, he's still human, but very kind and loving and generous to everyone in his presence wherever he goes. And I remember what he said once is like, how people treat us, it's not about us, it's about them. And like, in my reaction to how they're acting says, that's shows everything about me and how I'm being. And so I noticed that I was like, well, I'm not going to try and be friendly since they're not. And then I had that moment of awareness, like, oh, I get to be kind regardless of how they are, because that's who I am. And then, so they never came back to get my order. And usually I'll get up and just go to the counter and place my order, but whatever, I did something different. I was like, I am going to wait. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to practice patience. I am going to sit here and be present and be in this now moment and just, and not even wait, because waiting is also not a great energy. Eckhart Tolle talks about that. Like if you're waiting, then you're not in alignment with the present moment. But I was making progress here in the fact that I didn't get up, and take matters into my own hands, but I sat, I was present, I felt a burning inside. I call that the ego burn. I'm like, okay, this is patience. This is all of those samskaras, all of those past experiences where I was impatient and that, push that down. It's wanting to come up right now. This is actually a gift. This is that, that they're ignoring me or whatever and not coming over to get my order. This is an opportunity for me to be present and be with whatever I'm feeling in my being, because it's wanting to process, it's wanting the light of consciousness to allow it to burn away, basically, because it feels like a burn, a feeling like frustration, impatience. It feels like a burning. So I practiced that until I never got up to go to the counter, but I did try and wave them over. So whatever, there's nothing wrong with me in the fact that I did that. So anybody have questions, comments about anything from today's deep session into Conversations with God? And we stopped, for those who want to know, at 1 hour, 13 minutes. And so we'll pick up, I usually go back a couple minutes to kind of reorient where we are for next time. So stay tuned for more scheduled live events here in Insight Timer. Don't forget to follow me here, give a donation, join my group, Natalie's Healing Circle, listen to my meditations, my new premium track. I'm going live in about 48 hours. We're going to do our other book reading that we're doing now, There's Nothing Wrong with You. Also very powerful in a different way. But, all teachings, many of them share similar truths, but it's a totally different flavor, at least at this part in the Conversations with God book. But if you've grown up in a dysfunctional family, if you struggle with self-worth, critical, judgmental voice in your head, if you struggle with having compassion, any of that, core wounds, inner child healing, there's nothing wrong with you is for you. So please join in for that. Thank you, Nancy, for the donation. Elena, Ginger, EIL. Yes, so finally, thanks for asking. I waved some and nobody saw, but then they came around and they got my order. So yeah, it was a mindful moment, and it's kind of like why we met, or what we can practice in meditation. If you ever practice not moving, does anyone do that? Or if you ever practice not scratching an itch while you meditate, that's really powerful to do, because it's this automatic response that you're not giving into, and that actually helps cultivate patience and helps in things like that example. So try that next time you meditate, commit to yourself that you are not moving no matter what aches and pains come, and if there's an itch, that you will not scratch it no matter what. And let me know how that goes. So, thank you all. Have a wonderful, I don't know if anybody's still, I don't think anybody's still in their January 1st, but we're still in a New Year's time, so Happy New Year to all of you, and I will see you all very soon. Namaste.